I want to start and to say that in spite of the fact that more than 2 years have passed, it wouldn't be a waste of time to say again and again that the developments in the Middle East are a real tectonic earthquake. The main characteristic of the huge change is, in comparison to the past, of course, is the ascent of the political Islam as its establishment as the main political force in the countries that went through this massive change. With this, the Arab countries, in fact, joined two regional non-Arab states that are already ruled by Islamic political powers. One, Iran, led by the Shia Ayatollah's dictatorship, and Turkey, still relatively democratic, led by the Sunnite AKP party. The emergence of political Islam forces in Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, Libya brought to the surface the question whether an Islamic ruling party can bring about and sustain a real democracy. Now, in the face of the recent demonstrations in Turkey, led by the secular forces in society, in brackets, I want to, may I remind you all, the enthusiasm in the West about the so-called Turkish model. With the coming 1 million demonstrations planned in Cairo at the end of this month against President Morsi and the his attempts to take over different organs of the state, not to mention Islamization in the Gaza Strip by Hamas, one should stop wondering, I think, whether Islam, well, Iran is my, second name, whether Islam in its different manifestations is bound to its ideology to establish a Sharia state rather than striving for a real democracy. In any case, for Israel, it doesn't create positive news, since the outcome of these developments currently is, first of all, considerable weakness of the central governments, continued political and social unrest, deteriorating economic situation, and as well as internal security unrest. For the Israeli perspective of all of that means that we are still facing continuing period of uncertainty, penetration of global and local jihadist elements into peripheral areas like Sinai and on our northern border with Lebanon and Syria. Beside these developments, I want to mention one more important development, and that is the development in the Sunnite countries, where we witness a growing and widening struggle all over the Middle East between Sunni and Shia, in Iraq, in Lebanon, in Syria, as well as in Bahrain and Yemen. Where does Israel stand? The balance sheet is a mixed one. On one hand, a continued instability and uncertainty on our borders, as well as in areas with non-government control, possible transfer of advanced weapons to Hezbollah and other irresponsible elements. On the other hand, reduced conventional threat from Syria, erosion in Hezbollah position in Lebanon, and a lot of casualties that they are suffering in fighting in Syria, relatively restrained Hamas, and the growing platform of mutual interest between Israel and some of the Sunni Arab countries like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and the Persian Gulf countries. Within these complex circumstances, Israel's options to influence the development in favor of its interest is limited, if at all. Therefore, Israel, in my opinion, should continue its current policy, which includes careful surveillance of the developments in order to minimize surprises, defined red lines that need action, and an effort to improve relations with state and non-state that share common interests.
Thank you, Sima Shine.